Thank you for joining us for this episode of Inside Town Hall. I'm your host, Madeline Shields. We are meeting another newly elected city councilor, and we want to welcome Jennifer Sigette. She is the newest city councilor from the Northwest District, and we're going to learn more about her. But the first thing we're going to talk about is her last name, because people call her...
Oh, everything.
Sigette. They call her everything. Tell us some of the most common that you hear.
Sigette, by far.
Sigette. It's not Sigette. Sigette. It is Sigette.
There you go.
Like diggity. So Sigette. Now you won't forget. All right. So tell us a little bit about why did you decide to run for city council?
You know, I've always been interested in government, and local government, and just the way cities are laid out. And I mean, this is our home, and this is where we live, the streets we drive on. Local government affects so much of people's everyday lives. And so I was approached, and a friend of mine just said, you know, you should run for city council. And at first I'm, oh, heavens, no, that's not for me. But you know, you get the little bug in the back of your head, and I thought I could do that. And I was just in a good time in my life. I have twins. I have a daughter in college, and then twins that were seniors in high school, and they were graduating, and I just knew I was going to be looking for a little bit of something to fill my empty nest time.
Right.
And so my husband and I and kids all kind of talked it through, and here I am.
Yeah, here
a year later, here I am.
Right. You know, a lot of people think, you know, if they run for council or they run for a public office that they have to know a lot about everything. But that's really not the case, and you learn a lot, right?
You learn a ton. I would, if you don't enjoy learning, I wouldn't be in this role if I were you. Because you need to learn. You need to ask a lot of questions, and the city directors and the staff and the mayor, I mean, they've just been fantastic to work with. I mean, they're so welcoming, and no question's a dumb question. I've not yet been in a position where I feel like, oh, this is going to be dumb if I ask this. I mean, we're all just real people trying to do the best we can. And so I've learned a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, and someone needs to be elected to be the voice of your area because things come up. And what are you hearing from constituents and neighbors and friends in your neighborhood that you represent? What do you hear about?
I'm so glad you asked me that, because it's going to sound so cheesy, but I am just so passionate. I love Northwest Sioux Falls. I've lived there for 25 years. I kind of know every little neighborhood. The new neighborhoods pop up, and I drive through, and all my friends, my family, we all live in Northwest Sioux Falls. And I love the whole city, but Northwest is just that's my home. I'm from Aberdeen, South Dakota originally, and it's a little bit of a smaller town. And Sioux Falls is getting big enough now where we feel like we have these pockets that feels like home. I was having coffee with somebody this morning who lives in the west side, and we talked about how the east side does feel like a kind of a different city at times. And when we have zoning projects, I have to drive over there and actually familiarize myself with parts of the city. But I wish I was hearing more, I'll tell you, to be honest. I wish I was hearing more from constituents. As much as I do get a lot of emails, but it's usually quick things like there's a pothole here, or Jennifer, you know, we need a new street light. I wish people were more engaged, and I'd get more emails with opinions.
You heard that right here now, right? So
I mean it. I really mean it.
The floodgates are going to open.
Yeah, I mean, be nice about it, please. Every now and then I get a mean email, and I'm like, no, why were you mean? You don't even know me. But I mean, we really do. Yes. I think all the councilors take our role seriously, that we're the voice of the people. I mean, it's true.
And it's not for the faint of heart, because you can be people's sounding boards because they're frustrated with a neighbor that doesn't mow their lawn or doesn't get the snow removed quick enough. And that can be part of the challenging parts of public service. But can you talk a little bit about what are some of the rewards that you've already seen?
Oh, for sure. There are people who've called me. There's a neighborhood that reached out to me. It's actually not in the Northwest, but they said, it's so dark in our neighborhood. Is there something you can do? And so I reached out to Director Cotter and just said, they're saying it's dark. I don't know if it's true or not. Well, sure enough, they did a light study, and they need 18 new they're putting 18 new lights in that neighborhood. It's a neighborhood near Augustana. And I just thought, wow, that's local government in action. It really was too dark over there. One of my biggest passion projects of the city, anybody who's watching this is going to laugh, and they know what I'm going to say, is North Marion Road, from like the Jefferson High School area up to the Walmart Amazon area. Those roads are narrow, and we need to get some curb and gutter up there. We need to get sidewalks. We need to get lights. And that's all, of course, in the planning, but I'm really trying to push that up. I think that area has grown a lot quicker than we maybe expected, and so projects like that matter.
Where does Northwest and Southwest meet?
41st Street.
On 41st Street, okay. So, so you're part of probably the 41st Street. There's a lot of new construction, a lot of new family, multifamily housing out there.
Yes.
And that area is very narrow once you get past the TLS road.
Yes.
I see people walking all the time on the shoulder, which there isn't really a shoulder.
Right.
Is that a concern to you?
Yes, just pretty much all of the growth in that quadrant of the city. It's just exploded. You know, it really has. The Southeast Tech being up there and all of those big apartments. We've got some new restaurants up there. It's just they're creating a lot of traffic. So I actually, again, just an impact that I could make is they did a traffic study just in the last month, and we're kind of analyzing the results of that. And they're going to try to get some temporary lighting up there. And I think we're just going to move the plans to expand that road up a few years. I hope. I'm certainly lobbying for that. So.
41st Street?
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking Marion Road now.
Oh, Marion Road.
Marion Road.
Going north.
Yep, going north.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So you're originally from Aberdeen, and tell a little bit about your personal life, like where you work and what you do.
Yeah, I went to college in Mankato, Minnesota. I got a degree in public administration. Wasn't quite sure with what you're going to do with that degree, but ended up, I've been managing nonprofit organizations for the last 20 years. I'm now the director at the South Dakota Lions Foundation. We do vision screening for kids. We have a kid site vision screening program where we go into the schools and do free vision screenings and daycares. And we screen about 40,000 kids a year. And obviously the results of that, about 15% of the kids don't pass. And so then we make sure that they get to an eye doctor. We pay for eyeglasses and an eye exam if needed. It's very, very rewarding. So it's a very niche little nonprofit that I run. And I'm married, 3 kids, and I love Sioux Falls.
Yeah,
yeah.
Great. Well, and it's good for people to know that the city council position is a part-time job, and you have a full-time job that's your day job.
Yes.
Which, if it's a nonprofit, it's not just a day job. It's weekends and it's nights and it's all the time.
Yes.
And so, you know, it is a sacrifice to run for public office. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It is.
And why why people do it?
It is. You know, it's also very rewarding. I feel like I'm in a very little way, I'm making a difference. You know, hopefully I'm going to be involved with some projects that 20 years from now, kind of like the Washington Pavilion and the Denny's, the Premier Center. You know, I'd love to say in 20 years I'm taking my grandkids to a park that I helped to develop, or a pool that I got to vote on. That's the rewarding part, but it is a sacrifice. There's no doubt about it. You know, my husband, I'm spoiled, and he puts the gas in my car, and I think he goes about 3 times more than he used to, because I'm always like, I got to go drive around that project. I got to go check that out. And so I'm hopping in the car on the weekends or in the evenings. And
is that a date? Do you guys go look?
We do. That's our empty nesting life. I'm like, there's a zoning thing over on the east side. I don't even know what this street is. Let's go look at it. And so, you know, to do the job as best you can, I think that's important. So it is kind of our hobby. But yeah, it is a sacrifice. I mean, it's a time sacrifice. Yeah, for sure.
We have about a minute left. What are you looking forward to in the next 12 months?
Well, for those paying attention, we're going to get this pool bond wrapped up. That's been one of the biggest projects. And then I'm very excited about the discussions around the River Line and a possibility of a new convention center downtown. So I've been a real big proponent of moving those discussions forward. And then you're going to see some fun stuff come out about childcare that I've been working on. So.
And that is a necessity.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yes.
We will be back in just a moment. We are going to be talking about recycling and what you should be recycling. And we're going to hear more about what's going on at the landfill. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Dr. Raymond with Falls Community Health. I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of annual wellness exams. So many of us only go to the doctor whenever we're sick or feeling unwell, but did you know that you can prevent many health problems by just going to an annual wellness visit? Things like high blood pressure and diabetes and well child checks can help stop things before they get out of control. If you have any questions about an annual wellness exam or need to get one scheduled, contact your physician.
Welcome back to Inside Town Hall, where we are visiting with City Councilor Jennifer Sigette. At this time, we turn our attention to a more green topic, and that is recycling in our community. And joining us for Inside Town Hall is Donnie Cooper, Superintendent of the Sioux Falls Regional Landfill. Thank you for being here. And Shannon Dwyer, who is the President of Millennium Recycling. We'll get to you guys in just a moment. So let's talk a little bit about the City Council, their role, and working with the Sioux Falls Regional Landfill?
Absolutely. So we obviously work with all the departments and we have interaction with all of them. And I have just always been interested in recycling. I'll be honest, I didn't know a ton about recycling until a couple of years ago when my kids started inspiring us to recycle more as a family. And so I actually, through my day job, I reached out to Shannon and I started learning more about recycling. And I have learned a ton about both the landfill and recycling and Millennium and toured it. And I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the work that they do.
Let's talk a little bit about the landfill itself. If somebody is going out there, and we have passes now to go to the landfill, and so there's a lot to know. It's like a small city out there. I was just out there recently, and you have to know what you're doing and pay attention. It's a lot of traffic out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I look at the landfill, I look at providing a service to many residents, not only in Sioux Falls, but a 5-county region. And within that 5-county, there's over 300,000 residents. So there's a lot of material that comes in. We'll see over 1,000 ton of material a day, and some of that material that we do see can be recycled. So we know there's some opportunities there, and we actually have we do waste characterization studies every so often. We were doing them about every 10 years. And recently we conducted a 2-season waste characterization study where we pulled material aside to see what actual material is coming in and how much of that can be diverted. And so we did one back in 2022 and another one back in 2023. And we were seeing a lot of material that could be diverted, some opportunities with organic waste and paper and cardboard. We were seeing anywhere about 20% of organics was just food waste. So that's another material we can divert away from the landfill, and about 15% of paper and cardboard that can be recycled. So really trying to target some of that bigger material so that way we can extend the life of the landfill. Constructing landfills isn't cheap. A typical landfill cell in Sioux Falls, at the Sioux Falls Regional Landfill, is approximately 15-acre footprint, and it'll hold about 3 million cubic yards of material, which is about 1.5 million tons of garbage. And then that cell will fill up in about 6 years. So anytime we can divert as much material as we possibly can just helps us extend the life of the landfill, and it really comes back to making sure we are environmental friendly and really making sure that we have processes in place and programs in place to protect human health as well.
Sure. So what can you tell us, what do we need to know if we are taking our first load out to the landfill for the first time?
For recyclables or?
Yes.
So there's two, actually, the best way to recycle is actually through your provider, through your garbage provider. And then they work with Millennium Recycling. So I would actually ask Shannon to kind of address what happens and what should go in those bins to be recycled to go to Millennium.
All right, you're given a cart, and in that cart we'd like it to be loose outside of bags, and we recycle cardboard, office paper, junk mail, bottles, tubs, and jugs, aluminum cans, glass bottles and jars. And all those items can be thrown in one bin. It can be mixed, and they can be brought in through your garbage hauler, and they also do have a drop-off at the landfill as well for recycling.
Do people have a choice whether or not to recycle? Do they, when you hire one of the businesses that haul trash, do they automatically include recycling, or do you have to sign up for it?
The haulers are required to provide recycling to every resident in Sioux Falls. And there are items that are banned from the landfill. And so businesses and multi-housing can request recycling and work recycling through their hauler per their needs.
Let's talk a little bit about that. It has changed over the years. It used to be you were supposed to bag your different garbage. And I think, how long has it been? Maybe a couple of years, 3 years? Since they changed that, it's a single sort now. Is that what they call it?
Yes. In 2007, we invested and put the equipment in to do single stream recycling. Now, material was never supposed to be bagged, so it was always supposed to be loose. We did allow for a while where you could bag your bags and we could take them that way. And at one point, the market really kind of fell through, and we were unable to get rid of those things. That and people naturally were bagging, and so some were encouraged. Some haulers did encourage bagging depending on their services, but we really never wanted it to be bagged. Now in 2019, we went out and we formally banned it because of technology that we brought in. And that technology now comes into play where bagged items actually get removed from our facility. We are not able to recycle bagged items.
Tell me, when the pandemic hit and everybody was getting those to-go boxes and the new plastic ones with the plastic lids, what do we do with those? Can we recycle them? Can we not recycle them?
Generally, most to-go containers or single-use items, most of those are difficult to recycle, so we discourage them. So we ask that you stay to the bottle, tub, or jug, and those type of plastics we can handle. We are very much a throwaway society, so we're trying to encourage people to reduce what they use, be careful of the containers that they're using, watch for things that can be recycled when you're purchasing.
And pizza boxes, if there's food in it, can it be recycled?
Well, we don't want the food, so we ask that it's empty. And so pizza boxes are recyclable, and as long as it's not saturated with oils, throw the crusts out. If it's saturated, you can tear that part off and we can recycle the boxes.
Why is it so important to educate people about recycling and using, how important the landfill is in our community?
I mean, obviously we want to strive to be the most sustainable city we can. I mean, we want to pass down the best land and the best use of our environment to our kids and our grandkids. And so this is just a simple step that we can take. And I say simple, but sometimes it's not, because we don't know all these rules. I had to ask Shannon, how about a spaghetti sauce, a pasta sauce? Do I rinse that out? Do I not rinse it out? The answer is to rinse it out, bring it as clean as possible, but it doesn't have to be spotless. And so just some of those little things, and I had no idea about the no bag thing, again, until I started having just met with Shannon. And so shame on us, we were putting all of our recyclables in our bag and then throwing it into our garbage hauler's bin and thinking that we were recycling it, when actually that for a couple of years that was going right to the landfill. So I just want to get that message out to people in Sioux Falls how to recycle.
Yeah. I love it. I fill up our recycling bin fills up so much quicker than our trash bin. And I always feel like maybe that's the goal we all want. Is that true?
It is. I mean, it's incredible when you find out too, 40% of the materials that are required by industry to make new products come from recycling. And whether it's single stream or scrap recyclers or, compostables is another item that can be used again. So it's very important to what we do, and it creates a circular economy.
So there is a lot going on at the landfill. We have a lot to talk about. So there's a new scale. There are an expansion project. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on out there.
Yeah, so probably our most exciting project that we're just getting ready to finish up is our new scale house and public drop-off area expansion project. Going back to 2019, we saw a need for this expansion project, and just based on growth and outdated infrastructure, we teamed up with a consultant to conduct a study to see where we needed to go, and through that study we found that there's some efficiencies with our scale house and our public drop-off area, and it really led to a design for a new scale house and doubling the capacity of our public drop-off area, where our residential customers can come in and conveniently drop off their material. And so the biggest change with our scale house now, it's a scale house, and it'll have an additional lane. So we used to have only 2 inbound lanes, and now we have 3 inbound lanes and 1 outbound lane. So that just increases the throughput at that scale house and gets customers in and out a lot faster. And then with that, we needed to extend the public drop-off area. Like I said, we've doubled that capacity, so that way vehicles aren't lined up and we can get them in and out as soon as we can. So that project, we broke ground in August of 23, and we're hoping to get that wrapped up in the next 2 weeks. And so,
when you're talking about scales, is that just for the garbage haulers that are being weighed as they go into the landfill, or is that for everyone?
So our scales are for everyone. So that includes all of our residential customers, our commercial customers, and all of our city vehicles. So we have a lot of our own vehicles that use that scale house too. So we'll see over 1,000 transactions come over the scale house per day. So there's a lot of traffic that comes through. So we have to make sure that we're operating that infrastructure as efficient as we possibly can.
Okay, it's not just trash that goes to the landfill. There is the fall leaf drop-off and the drop-off program. Can we talk a little bit about that, why it's so important to take those leaves and don't burn them in your yard, right? Don't burn them.
Right.
Right.
Let's talk about the leaf drop-off, because that's pretty timely this time of year.
Yes, it is. So our leaf and tree program started back in about 2004, where we opened up 2 convenient locations in town, and that ran for about a 3-week period. And so residential customers can bring their leaves to the 2 drop-off sites, and back then we charged $3 per load. And and today now we run that program for an 8-week period. We try to target the dates between end of September to just after Thanksgiving, and that's where we see most of the participation come in. That's when everybody's cleaning up yards and getting their material out of their yards and into these convenient locations, just to help clean up the city, make sure that leaves aren't going down drains and things like that. So it's super important to divert all of your yard waste away from the landfill, because obviously we want to extend the life of the landfill. And just in the last 5 years, we've diverted over 60,000 ton of yard waste away from the landfill. So and then we turn that into a compost, which is a beneficial reuse as a soil amendment. And it's just it's a good product. A lot of people appreciate composting, and we have about 12,000 cubic yards of material that we give away to residents for free, and that's a new addition in the last year at these 2 sites. Is we're allowing residents to pick up compost free of charge, just from those sites, instead of having to go all the way to the landfill to get it.
I have that compost in my garden. It's free and it is fabulous. I've never had tomatoes and peppers so nice. So if you've never gone to the landfill to get free compost, don't go buy soil. You can get it for free right there, and it is absolutely the best soil ever. I use it in my flower gardens too. But we do need to remind people to do what? They need to tarp their loads.
Yes.
And why is that so important?
Well, I live in the northwest part of town, and so I drive along Ellis and along 12th and 41st and certainly see some of the garbage that is coming off of those trucks. And so you want to talk about tarping?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very important, like you said, and I think the main reason is just being courteous to other drivers, because it is a safety concern if you're not tarped, because I do see a lot of bulky material that the wind can catch and blow off, and the speed limit's 55 going out there, so you're reaching speeds that can blow a lot of bigger material off, and we just don't want that material to hit other vehicles or oncoming traffic, and then ultimately we are responsible for coming out and cleaning up those road ditches. So anytime we can mitigate that, we can save some time with our operations.
Sure. And can I get on my soapbox for a second? Because you live out northwest, I live out northwest. And when you stop at the gas station and put that tarp on there, I watch you every single time. So put the tarp on in your driveway. Don't drive all the way out to 41st and TLS Road or Highway 17 and then put that tarp on, because you've lost half your load and we have to drive by it. And then I see the workers out there picking up all that trash. And that's dangerous for them as well.
Yeah.
And so we really want to make sure that we're not dropping all that garbage on the highways. One last push for recycling. You want to tell us what do you want people to know? What's the most important thing?
It's not that difficult. It is easy to do. The service is provided to all residents and businesses in this town. We have an excellent education program. We're really trying to change the culture of our community. We have a new education trailer that is going out to the schools and to community centers. And we just, through our nonprofit Binfluencer, released the diversiondirectory.com, which sends people out to over 150 plus partners in the community and in the area that can tell you where to bring things to reuse food to be reused or composted or scrap metals, any of those items that we can actually save and reserve from the landfill and be and repurposed again.
Okay, well, tell that website one more time.
Diversiondirectory.com.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, thank you all for joining us today. That's our time for Inside Town Hall. If you would like any more information or if you want to know what's going on in the city, you can go to siouxfalls.gov. We'll see you next time.